Hello, everybody. Welcome to a new edition of Every Rocky Ever, a Colorado Rockies podcast celebrating the history of players in purple, part of the Rocky Mountain Rooftop Network, under the Fans First Sports Network. I'm your host, Skyler Timmons, joined once again by my brother Dustin, who is on spring break.
Whoop whoop. Oh man, I'll have to post on the social medias of what I've been up to. We did our Make-A-Wish for school every year. It's a tradition doing the Make-A-Wish week. And last year, a certain somebody dressed as Elsa and sang a song in front of the entire student body for the Make-A-Wish assembly. And then this year, he decided to follow that up with a Moana performance. But as a school, they raised over $22,000 to fulfill this little girl's wish to go to Hawaii. Just got news this morning that they're able to fulfill a wish for another little 8-year-old boy who wants to go to space. So he'll probably go to NASA or Cape Canaveral. Mm-hmm. And so throat's a little scratchy today because I was belting it out.
Yeah. Oh, same thing about my brother is he'll quick to make a fool of himself, but also for a good cause.
Yeah. That's why I'm on here.
Yeah. But trying to figure out what we wanted to do for this new episode of Every Rocky Ever, and Dustin threw out the suggestion, let's do another round of Guess the Rockie. And if you've been listening to the show, you'll recall, I think back in December, so just before Christmas, we did an episode of Guess the Rockie where we both picked 4 players, and we just kind of took turns guessing who the other guy had selected, talk a little bit about them, and then just kind of a way to kind of rattle through guys that don't necessarily necessitate an entire episode of their own, or won't take like 15 to 20 minutes to talk about them. But guys that we can kind of rapid fire through and quick thoughts on them.
Yeah, and I think it's a fun way to just get through a bunch of them. These guys that I picked some of the pitchers, and we came up with they couldn't have more than 2 seasons played for the Rockies, and that's a long list, especially in the pitchers. And as I was going through it, it was kind of funny. Brent Maine, Brian Servin, all these position players, Alan Trejo, and I'm like, wait a minute, because I can stump them there. But what was interesting about that is looking how many of those dudes with the one appearance, 0.00 ERA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, or you could have even thrown in some curveballs and picked like Randall Grichuk.
Yeah.
he threw a couple innings. But yeah, so Dustin picked pitchers, I did offensive players. Last time I stumped Dustin with a couple of guys. I made it a little tougher on him. He threw me some softballs.
Yes.
And we'll see how it turns out this way around. So I went with hitters, he went with pitchers. And I guess we might as well just hop right into it. And I guess I can go first because I believe Dustin started last time. So go, and I didn't prepare and pull up my guys, so I'll do that real quick. And hopefully, yeah, there's a ton of guys that 2 seasons, a quick in and out. Very few guys that were like a starter for a full season. Like, oh, here's the guy. But instead, a lot of guys that kind of bounced around. But here's my first guy. A outfielder, batted left, I believe he wore number 12 in a Rockies uniform. Played 19 years in the big leagues. Played with the Rockies in 2007. So he's part of the 2007 Rockies, where he played in 43 games at the age of 42. And spent a career, started it with the Orioles, then went to Houston. Then in 1995, went to the Padres. Then in 1999, went to Arizona Diamondbacks. in the 2004 season was traded over to the Dodgers. 2005 played for the Angels. 2006 back with the Giants, or he went to the Giants, and then 2007 with the Rockies. So he made the round in the National League West. I believe he was the first player to do so.
And I want to say it is Steve Finley.
That is correct. Mr. Steve Finley, coming out of Union City, Tennessee.
Oh, yeah. That was at the beginning of the season. And then it was like, all right, well, see you later.
Yeah, didn't do a whole lot in a Rockies uniform. Like I said, 43 games. He batted 181, 245 on base, 245 slugging, a 490 OPS, 4 strikeouts, 8 walks. Looks like he went 17 for 94 with 3 doubles and a home run and just 2 RBIs.
Sheesh.
So 42 years old, he's playing for the Rockies in the kind of just that bench backup outfielder for the team. And then they, I guess they just cut him loose. They're about partway through the season. Yeah, June 13th, released by the Rockies. Yeah, one of those things, there's a lot of those guys on that 2007 team. We know who the staples are in like the September run through the playoffs, but there's a lot of guys that were part of that journey throughout the season.
Yeah, see, and that guy, he was a great defensive center fielder back in the day. And I want to say that he was like a Rockies killer. Pretty much anybody in the NL West is.
Yeah.
but Steve Finley was a guy that was like, dang, this guy's got a pretty good track record. But he was old.
Mm-hmm.
We went with that youth. Got him into Rocktober.
Mm-hmm.
But that's one that I remember.
Yeah. One of those spring invites, non-roster invitee, had a really impressive spring training, and then he made the opening day roster, and then they eventually designated him for assignment in June. At the time of his release, of all active players, he was first in triples with 124, third in games with 2,583, at bats with about 9,400, fourth in hits, a little over 2,500, seventh in runs, eighth in total bases, and ninth in doubles with 449, and stolen bases with 320. He was the 6th oldest player in the National League. So yeah, 19 years in the big leagues. I think since then he had worked with the Padres as an analyst. He's been around doing other stuff. But yeah, old Steve Finley.
A sneaky solid career.
Yeah, I was hearing those numbers. I'm like, dang, those are some really good numbers. 300 home runs in his career, 271 average. Yeah, 2,548 hits, over 2,500 games played, almost 2,600 games played. Dang.
Pretty solid.
Yeah, that's a good, solid career. I think if he had just had an ability to get on base a little more and better average throughout his career, you're talking about a guy who could have had a Hall of Fame argument.
For sure. Those guys, especially 19 years in the big leagues, was that 2007 was his last year.
Yeah.
He played through the steroid era. Started out, when did he make his debut?
In 1989.
And so that, man, his career going through that, that period of baseball and making it to the 2000s, he saw a lot of change in baseball and in the way it was played. But Steve Finley, that's a good one.
Yeah, so good on him. A good, solid career, and that's cool that he was able to make the round in the National League West. I think that was something I always remember about him, is he played with every team. Like I said, I think the first to do that. So, yeah. Steve Finley, you were a Rocky.
All right. Now, this guy was a World Series MVP a Silver Slugger, a two-time All-Star, an NLCS MVP from Cuba, and he had a pretty famous. I think I want to say it was his brother that had a very unique delivery. But this guy pitched for the Rockies in the 2008 season. Pitched 40 innings, went 3-3, an 80 ERA, and wore number 61.
Oh, jeez. Yeah,
It's
you'll
hard
see.
because you're not from these eras.
They're kind of just pitchers in general for the Rockies. Like you said, they've just blown through so many. Those little drop in the bucket guys were
Now,
more notable, and so it's going to be tough because there's just so many pitchers, and I can't remember names.
so this guy made his debut with the Florida Marlins,
Mm-hmm.
in where he in that '97 World Series won it with the Marlins. Went to the Giants. Was with Montreal, and then the Nationals. Went to Arizona, to Minnesota. Then went to the Rockies, and then played for the Mets. Back to Washington, and finished his career in Atlanta in 2012.
Mm. Dang. And he's from Cuba.
Yep.
Oh man, I can't even think of a name.
And I want to say it was his brother. Yeah, his brother was.
I got
I'm telling you,
nothing.
these are classic ones for me. But it was one Livan.
Dang it, Levon Hernandez. Dang it. Yeah, I would have never gotten that.
Dude, he was legit when he made his debut with the Marlins. Second place rookie of the year voting. The dude could swing the bat. He was just this like raw talent out of Cuba, and had a really solid career.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember him going to the Rockies, just getting some garbage time with the 2008 team. An 8 ERA. Yikes!
Yeah, and just 8 starts.
It was not pretty. 7 home runs in those 40 innings. But dude, the guy, a two-time All-Star for the Expos in 2004, he pitched 255 innings.
Yeah.
He had 3 years there. It was nuts. From 2000 2006, what is that? 6 straight seasons of 200 plus innings pitched. The guy it was wild. Now, when during his time with the Rockies, he wasn't lighting up any radar guns. But I remember that when I was like, "Dang, Livan Hernandez, that guy's been around."
Yeah. 17 years in the big leagues. And looks like, yeah, most of it as a starter until 2012.
Oh,
Yeesh. And I don't know what this is happening to guys today, but looking at his numbers, like I don't see where his arm got blown out.
nah, man, because he was never the gas thrower. I don't remember, but dang, that's crazy. Now his brother, Orlando Hernandez El Duque, he was the one that made the big impact with the Yankees, and he had the real high leg kick, like way above his head, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, the Hernandez brothers.
Yeah, I'm trying to see here.
We'll leave on.
Yeah, he ended 2008 having given up 12.9 hits per 9 innings in 2008, the highest in the majors. And this is with the Rockies, I think it's throughout the season. Had a major league worst 342 batting average against, and his 3.4 strikeouts per 9 innings were the lowest in the majors. Batters also made contact with his pitches 91.3% of the time that they swung at them, easily the highest percentage among major league starters. Yeesh. Yeah, 2008, not a good year for Olivan Hernandez.
Yeah, sheesh.
But hey, there's always, like people say, there's always room for guys like that in the big leagues to just eat up some innings, some garbage time. And it looks like he got some good years out of him during the last couple of years of his career, too, after leaving the Rockies. Not too shabby. Yeah, I would have never gotten that. Oh, goodness. Okay. Here's my next one. I think there's just something about the pitchers that the offensive guys, you just end up lobbing softballs. But maybe this one will be a little tougher for you, hopefully. So this is a basically utility infielder. Played shortstop, some second, some third base. While with the Rockies, wore number 16 out of, he is from Saint Amat, Louisiana. He's from Louisiana. Originally started his career with the Tampa Bay Rays, and then in 2013 comes over to the Rockies in a trade with the Tampa Bay Rays. Eventually, his contract is purchased by the New York Yankees in 2013 from the Rockies after he plays 29 games. And then, he just kind of bounces around the league, goes to the Phillies. Oh no, he's granted free agency again that season, signed with the Rockies again in 2013. So he gets traded to him, gets purchased by the Yankees, becomes a free agent. Rockies sign him back in June. Then he becomes a free agent after the season, and then just sort of bounced around the league with random teams as a utility infielder until 2016, where he ended his career with the Atlanta Braves at the big league level. Yeah, mostly a utility infielder. Guy bounced around with the Rockies. Mostly, he played third base, played some second base, played shortstop. He did play one game in left field. Yeah, I remember this guy coming out of Louisiana. So you got to think of that Cajun type of Louisiana name.
Jules. Oh man.
I do remember him getting when they acquired him.
Who did they trade for him?
It just says it was part of a conditional deal, so they probably just sent some money or something.
Oof. No, it wouldn't be. It's not Reed Brignac, is it?
It is Reed Brignac.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, Reed Brignac, acquired from the Tampa Bay Rays. They drafted him out of high school in the second round, and I guess was doing fairly decent. And then they traded him over to the Rockies in 2013. It was just for cash considerations, yeah. He made the opening day roster as a backup infielder, but didn't do much in a Rockies uniform, however. Ended up playing just 29 games with them that season. He hit 250, 294, 375, so not bad for your backup infielder. Had a home run, 6 RBIs, 4 doubles, but 30 strikeouts to 4 walks.
Yeesh.
So striking out once a game, or pardon me, 13 strikeouts. I was looking at his total for the year. 13 strikeouts to 3 walks. Still not great in 29 games. But yeah, just sort of doing his thing, backup infielder. And then Yankees purchase his contract. They take him, and then they release him after 17 games. Rockies sign him back, and he finishes the year in AAA Albuquerque, where he hit not AAA Colorado Springs. That was the final year in Colorado Springs. He goes to Colorado Springs, plays 48 games, hits 230 with a couple of home runs, 11 RBIs, and then becomes a free agent. And then goes and bounces around the league, going different places. Bill Reed Brignac.
Yeah, when you said to the Phillies, and then I can picture him in a Rays uniform before everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, I remember.
Yeah, I just remember that he was like the epitome of just being like the Cajun type of guy coming from Louisiana, and so I just kind of incorporate that. Or for some reason, I kind of correspond him with. You remember the show Axemen? Or no, it wasn't Axemen. It was some other show. Might have been the Great Food Truck Race on Food Network. There was a Cajun truck, and they'd be like, "The Raging Cajuns." And so in my mind, I just, for some reason, coordinate Reed Brignac to a Raging Cajun.
He kind of fits in with like just those infield utility guys that the Rockies always had. You know, who's the one just recently, a couple of seasons ago, he makes the roster and he's like hitting it, playing it well offensively, and then he breaks his hand.
Mm-hmm.
And then he I think he went to the Pirates. I can't think of who it, but there's like this just journeyman utility guy for a while, and like Patty Barrels and Jeff Baker, like those kind of dudes. But he just couldn't find it offensively.
Yeah, it's wasn't here for very long. It's just that funny. We trade for him, he gets bought, he gets released, we sign him back.
Oh, come on back.
Yeah. But we'll read Brignac. Short-lived, didn't do much here. Spent basically the equivalent of a month in a Rockies uniform. It feels much longer than that. But, oh well. That's Reed Brignac.
All right. I got a guy. And he was a relief pitcher. I don't know if you'd get. He's from Nicaragua. And pitched for the Rockies in the 2013 and 2014 seasons. Came from Houston.
Ugh.
In a trade.
Oh, I know who this is.
And I will say he is probably one of my most despised relief pitchers in the history. Now, I have gone off about some of these Rockies pitchers, but this guy would drive me absolutely nuts every time he pitched. And it was like they wanted to pitch him every day just to prove a point. I don't know what it was, but who was it?
It's one Wilton Lopez.
Can you think of a worse relief pitcher?
Yeah, he's up there in terms of Rockies relief pitchers that make you want to pull your hair out. I think he unfortunately takes that cake for a lot of people.
Holy cow. How did he only have a 4 ERA?
Because he didn't pitch long enough. Yeah, like that first season, 2013, not terrible. You can stomach that. 75 games, 4.06 ERA. That's fine. But not great. Like overall, just kind of like, eh.
Not when he was giving up. He gave up 88 hits.
Yeah, that's the thing is it was always traffic.
We kind of forget the 2013, and we remember the disastrous 6 innings he had in 2014. 18 hits in the third innings.
Yeah, let's see. Pull up this game log from 2014 because I remember. Yes, the one that was the straw that broke the camel's back. 2014 at home against the Chicago White Sox. Rockies lost 15-3. He's pitching the 8th inning, gives up 6 runs on 8 hits in 2/3 of an inning, 3 home runs. And that just finally broke the camel's back in the Rockies. Like, yeah, we're done with this guy. We're done, Wilton. Adios.
Yeah. And they were all excited because he had, pretty good success as a setup guy in Houston, and it did not work in Colorado at altitude.
Yeah.
And I think it was just like that grin of his on the mound, like, and oh man,
Yeah.
I could not handle it.
He was designated for assignment on June 9th, 2014, and was re-added to the roster on June 21st. It looks like. So there's that stretch in there where they kick him off the roster, and he gets added back, but I don't think he ever pitched for him again. But oh man, awful. Who is it? There's somebody that has a ball from him. I know Evan's gone off. Evan Lang over on Affected by Altitude. I believe he has a good rant about Wilton Lopez. Either that or Wilton Lopez gave him a ball. Something like that, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, awful.
Dude, just, oh man.
And you can understand why the Rockies traded for him. Good numbers come in Houston.
Yeah.
2010 to 2012, good numbers in Houston. And then he comes over and it's okay in 2013, and then it just stuff hits the fan in 2014. And credit to the Rockies, they pulled that trigger really quickly. Yeah, okay, we're done with this guy. And if I could easily pull it up, I'd look up who they replaced him with, but oh well.
Yeah,
that trade just no good at all.
Nah, it was worthless. Sheesh.
Oh, Wilton Lopez. It was either him. I always put him and Felipe Paulino in my mind. They're kind of interchangeable. They're connected to each other in a way.
Yeah, both from the Astros. But Paulino was that flamethrower.
Yeah.
And he just couldn't throw strikes, and then when he did, he'd get rocked. But this guy was just, oh, man.
Alrighty. My next one. This is an outfielder from Puerto Rico. Played 2 years with the Rockies in 2018 and 2019. Was acquired from the Los Angeles Dodgers in 2014 to complete an earlier trade where the Rockies traded Juan Nicasio to the Dodgers in 2014. Most recently played with the Chicago Cubs in 2019, at least in spring training camp before the 2020 season rolled around. So just 2 seasons with the Rockies. Spent plenty of years down in AAA. I believe he also was a really good hitter in AAA in Albuquerque. He's hit for the cycle once or twice down there. Outfielder, wore number 56 from Puerto Rico, right-handed hitter. Outfielder.
Ooh. Dang.
Let's see, where's he at now? I haven't seen where he's at. Kind of hits that same vein as Jonathan Daza. Most recently played in the Puerto Rican Winter League in the 2021-2022 season.
Dang, I don't know, but I remember when Nicasio went to the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that. I'm not sure. I don't know on this one.
It is Noel Cuevas.
Oh, yeah.
Oh no,
I remember,
Cuevas.
yeah, he'd be tearing it up in AAA, and then he'd come up and just kind of like meh.
Yeah. So majority of his time came in 2018 with the Rockies. 75 games. He hit 233, 268, 315, slugging, 2 home runs, 10 RBIs, 24 strikeouts, 6 walks. Played in just 1 game in 2019. Had 2 at-bats, didn't do anything, and then that was it. That is the breadth of his major league career. Yeah, down in AAA with Albuquerque 2016 between 2 levels, tearing it up, almost a 296 average. Not a big power hitter, but tearing it up, getting on base a ton. 2017 in AAA, played 128 games, had 15 home runs, 12 triples, 17 doubles, 79 RBIs, 312 average. Still was striking out a ton, but just doing damage at the plate. Had 16 stolen bases. 2018, more of the same, 44 games, 331 average, 29 RBIs, bunch of extra base hits, and does the same 2019 in AAA. Just tearing up, being productive, but just didn't translate to the big leagues.
Dang, that's a name that just came and went. Noel Cuevas.
Yeah, I just remember him like you'd always see reports. Oh, Noel Cuevas, he just hit for the cycle in Albuquerque. No, he's hitting. You're like, dang, like that's sweet. Like it would be cool if we brought him up and he could be a extra outfielder type of thing. But just couldn't do anything. I think it was like Garrett Hampson and like that vein of player just kind of overtook him. And like Raimel Tapia is in that mix, and and uh and like Jonathan Daza, Alexi Amarista.
Oh,
Just didn't do much in a Rockies uniform though. Let's see if I can find anything else real quick on him. Yeah, coming out of Puerto Rico. And I don't remember. I don't. Oh yeah, I was in left for Oregon, so I didn't. I don't even remember the Juan Nicasio trade. But yeah, never did much. And then last played with a big league team with the Chicago Cubs, but then COVID hit, and then he just didn't make the cut, and then he was out of baseball. Interesting. Anyway, that's old Noel Cuevas.
all right, now this one, we're digging deep into the history.
Ugh.
This was one of the original starting pitchers for the Rockies. Um, he was drafted by the Rockies from the Houston Astros as the 21st pick in the 1992 expansion draft. He ended up playing total 12 years in the big leagues. He started with Toronto, Cleveland, Houston, played for the Rockies for 2 years, and then went to San Diego, Detroit, Arizona, the Mets, and finished his career with the Detroit Tigers. With the Rockies, he was number 19. And from Kentucky.
Dang it.
Oh, yeah. If only you had your expansion draft, your 1993 Rockies deck of cards.
Yeah. No, because it was because David Mead was their first pick that year, right in the expansion draft,
Mm-hmm.
and then shoot,
Yeah, and he went 6-10 his first year, 4.75 ERA, 146 innings. And then the next in 94 he only played I think he went into a relief role. He pitched in 47 games, but never really had ginormous success.
Yeah, I'm thinking of guys I think that are more so later in those 90s. Because I'm thinking of like Bruce Ruffin or Kevin Ritz, but they're later, weren't they?
Yeah, Bruce
Yeah.
Ruffin he was their closer in
Yeah.
those years, but he shares the name of a Rocky center fielder that we covered a, a, a little while ago in Houston. So it's,
Yeah, I got nothing. I can't think.
well, he may have been part of a witch project.
I
Okay,
still
I'll
don't
help you
know.
out. I'm terrible at
Something
charades. Oh
Blair.
wait, yeah, there you go. Willie Blair.
There. Dang it.
Yeah, he was one of the reasons why he sticks out because of the Super Nintendo baseball game that we had, the MLBPA, and he was one of those starting pitcher options for the Rockies
Mm-hmm.
with Armando Reynoso, David Need, Willie Blair, and I don't know who, like Jeff Parrott or
Mm-hmm.
something.
It doesn't have much of a big league, or doesn't have much of a bio on Wikipedia, which is always a great source for our information. Um, Willie Blair, looking him up here on Baseball Reference. Those 2 years in Colorado, 93, 94. Not terrible. 5.11 ERA in a Rockies uniform in those early days. Terrible, but yeah, another guy, 12 years in the big leagues. Life finds a way.
Well, I kind of remember him. Like, it's crazy to think that he made his major league debut in 1990
Mm-hmm.
at age 24, and then he goes to the Rockies. Thought he had some stuff to to pick him second or 22nd, and I remember Willie Blair later at the end of his career with the Tigers. He had the one year he went 10-6, and I think that was one of his best years that he had. But that's pretty solid, pitching an entire decade.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and those wasn't blowing things up on the box score, but go in, eat some innings.
Well, what's crazy is he was on two expansion teams
Mm-hmm.
because he's with the D-backs in '98.
There you go.
So that's pretty cool. I guess he was with Detroit and then went over, started out with the Diamondbacks, and then got traded to the Mets. But that was Willie Blair. I had to go deep,
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit of the origins. I knew
He's
that
no
it'd
he's
be kind of hard.
he's no Mo Sanford like I pulled on you last time.
Oh, no clue. I still don't know who that guy is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it looks like one of those guys pitched to contact, ground ball specialist, 41% over his career of ground balls. But trying to do that, but yeah, kind of struggled with his command though. Not a lot of strikeouts, a lot of walks throughout his career, and some bloated ERAs across his career. Career 5.04 ERA for Willie Blair. But 1993, one of his lower years, ERA wise. Good for him. Okay. All right. This is my last one. This is a infielder, another shortstop. No, fits into the vein of a shortstop. I believe I got to pull him up here. Was a more utility infielder, essentially. Drafted by the Rockies in the 24th round in 2008 from Texas State University. Made his big league debut in 2011 for the Rockies. Made a brief appearance with the Rockies in 2012, so 18 games in total. While with the Rockies, he wore number 6 and number 36. Then 2013, played 15 games for the Angels. Then last appeared in 2015 with the Texas Rangers, where he played 14 games. So didn't do a whole lot in his career overall, but just sort of bounced around after that, looking for more playing opportunities, but ended up just kind of spending the rest of his career in the minors with like Detroit, Minnesota. So yeah, one of those backup infielders that just didn't kind of pan out.
Ooh.
It's maybe a little tougher one.
Is his last name only 3 letters?
No.
Okay, it's not that guy. I was thinking Jason Nix,
No.
but he was more of the second baseman that was going to save him. And after like a week in the beginning of the season, they're like, we don't want you. See Texas. He was only there for just barely a sip of coffee.
All these teams he played for was just a less than 20 games for all of these teams.
Jeez. I don't know, 2013?
Yeah, 2013 he was with the Angels. So he was with the Rockies in 2011 and 2012.
Dude, those are dark times in Rockies lore. And he's shortstop?
Just kind of utility infielder. But with the Rockies, played mostly shortstop. He played 15 games as the shortstop and a couple innings at like second and in the outfield, but mostly shortstop.
Yeesh. I don't know.
It is one Tommy Field.
Oh. As one of my students would say,
Now, Tommy Field, or as Baseball Reference has him under Thomas Field, so a little more professional sounding. But yeah, they drafted him in the 24th round in 2008 and really kind of worked his way quickly through the minors, showed some power potential, good on base, good plate discipline, and then makes the jump from Double-A up to the Rockies in 2011 after just a really good year, 17 home runs, 61 RBIs, a 795 OPS in Double-A. Was that the Tulsa Drillers? Probably. And so he gets the call up in 2011. I'm sure Tulo probably was hurt or something. Jackson Rutledge, or whatever. Rutledge wasn't ready. Or didn't want. Josh Rutland. That's his name.
Rutledge.
But yeah, they call him up and he does okay in his brief 16 games. 271 batting average in 16 games. 4 runs scored, had 13 hits, 3 RBIs. But he had 14 strikeouts, 3 walks. Starts the season, or spends most of the season in AAA in 2012, where he, again, has a pretty solid year. Nothing too flashy. And then does nothing in his little cup of coffee in 2012. And then he gets claimed off waivers by like Minnesota, kind of bounces around getting claimed off waivers after the 2012 season. Yeah, and then just bounced around in AAA to finish out his career through 2017. Yeah.
Dang. Those seasons, I wasn't watching a whole lot of baseball. School and work and family and those were dark times.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
stormed through those minor leagues and then just He was recalled when Marco Scutaro was traded to the Giants. So,
Gross, Marco Scutaro.
but he was optioned back to Springs the next day when Johnny Herrera was activated off the disabled list. And ultimately, I think it was DJ LeMahieu who won out at that position battle at second base eventually, and basically made him expendable because he had a little Johnny Sparkplug and like EY Jr. and DJ the Mayhew.
Yeah. Oh, those were the days. All right. Well, we're probably going to end up in a tie because this next one, just speaking of relievers that just would irritate me, this guy from the Dominican Republic was an all-star for another team. Pitched for the Rockies just a couple years ago, 2022. He could never have his hat on straight, and it took him forever to throw the baseball. And you know exactly who I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
He is one who?
It is Alex Colomé.
Man, I'm telling you. I saw these two guys' names and I said, you know what? I just want to get them out of the way because they irritated me so much.
Yeah, Colomé was absolutely just the human rain delay personified. And he's the reason we have the pitch clock.
Well, you see it, and he was play baseball after the Rockies. Well, he did. He went, signed with the Nationals, released by him, and released by him with the White Sox. But I don't think he. Looking at it, did he end up playing? Yeah, he got
4 games with the White Sox.
4 games. Yeah. This pitch clock thing just isn't for me.
Well, I remember because I remember when the Rockies signed him, not a bad move. You're like, okay, they need some bullpen help. Alex Colomé, he's had success in the past. 2020 was a pretty dominant reliever up until 2021. Still a solid year with Minnesota. Came off a season where he had a 4.15 ERA, but closing experience, bullpen needed some assistance, and so they bring him in, and that first game, his weighted debut in the regular season, it took him 30 minutes to get through 3 batters. Like he'd just sit there and he'd wander around the back, and like we're just pulling our hair out because this game's just taking forever because he won't throw the ball. And yeah, I remember they were talking about that. They're like, yeah, and that's something I think the Rockies got on him over the course of the season. Like, dude, you got to work faster because he's just slow and just kind of meanders up there and steps off, wanders around again. And anybody that's arguing against the pitch clock, go and sit through just watching Alex Colomé pitch in 2022. Yeah. And then you will be pulling your hair out. You could feel yourself aging watching him pitch.
Yeah. So that's I just wanted to get that venting out. Get rid of those two guys for sure. And think of the good times.
And I liked Alex Colomé. I liked that signing. And I think it was a good move. And like he goes through the whole season with the team and 8 some innings, but ends up pitching 47 innings, but struggled with his command. Really wasn't getting the strikeouts and really didn't have the bounce back the Rockies were hoping for.
Well, nobody did.
Yeah.
Nobody did in that Rockies staff.
Mm-hmm.
In that year. And it was, it's crazy because it was hey, this is not a bad deal. But the results were just not there.
Yeah. I just think back that very first one, sitting there and 30 minutes have gone by, and it took him 30 minutes to get 2 outs. You're like, oh.
Sheesh.
I think Baseball Savant, like the StatCast, had brought out the time it takes between pitches, type of thing of how quickly it is that when they get the ball and then they deliver their next pitch. And he was one of the slowest in baseball. I think he was like the second slowest behind the Cardinals, like Giovanni Gallegos or something. He was one of the slowest of the time when he would get the ball and get back on the mound and ready to pitch and like throw the next pitch. Ugh.
Dude, I don't know. I'm all for that pitch clock.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that really, has anything to do with all the arm injuries. I think it's just people just blowing their arms out for throwing max effort every single pitch.
Well, it's one of those. It's that thing of like, you and I learned that old school way you pitch it, get back on the mound, get ready to pitch. And so we're moving quick. You're controlling the tempo on the mound. But then when you're watching somebody just go so slow, you're like, come on.
Dude, the human rain delay.
Ugh. And there have been some, I compared him into Rocky's history, and I think Betancourt is the only one that was slower than him.
Yeah, but Rocky could deal.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing.
He wasn't walking dudes. Remember that Betancourt had the streaks, the streak of not walking a batter. Like, he was legit. He would throw strikes. It would take forever, and they would foul a bunch of pitches off, but he wasn't walking dudes.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, holy cow.
I want to see if I can. I know I wrote an article about this over at Purple Row. And the Rockies and the human rain delay is what I titled this article, May 29th, 2022. And so it was, Rafael Betancourt. We've got a plane to catch. That's the thing. I think this was like the getaway game. So, not to be outdone, one of the most notable acquisitions for the Rockies in 2022 is Alex Colomé, who is putting in a bid to be one of the slowest pitchers in team history. In his first outing of the season, fans were introduced to Colomé's slow process on the mound. It took him nearly 30 minutes to get through 5 batters late in the game. They got better over the course of the season, but he's still one of the slowest in team history right at the time, and the second slowest in all of baseball in 2022. At 23.8 seconds, Colomé takes a while when the bases are empty. This season, he has yet to deliver a pitch within 15 seconds to be considered fast by the Baseball Savant stat. As a result, when a runner got on base, he'd get even slower, delivering a pitch every 32.5 seconds, the slowest in team history.
Yikes.
And then also, like, Jorge De La Rosa fit into that list. But yeah, Alex Colomé. Nearly half a minute between pitches. Like, ugh.
Oh, man.
Like, you could get through an episode of The Simpsons or like a show before he threw a pitch.
That's crazy.
But
that's
no.
It's good mix. Good mix of players.
Yeah. Ended up, we both went 2 for 2. I don't know how you pulled out Reed Brignac out of nowhere, but you did it.
I should have known Cuevas and Tommy. No clue. That one, not even. There's no recollection of him even existing.
Good times. Yeah, and my knowledge of the pitchers is not as good. Willie Blair, Livan Hernandez.
Well, especially because our criteria is only 2 years.
Yeah,
and it's not a whole lot, especially with a lot of those pitchers.
Mm-hmm. But always a fun one. This is a good way to get through some guys, vent about some of our other guys, the brief stints. But hopefully those listening, you were able to get them before either of us did sometimes. But always a fun one. And that'll do it here for this edition of Every Rocky Ever. Guess the Rockie, Part 2. I guess round 2. Ends up in a tie, so evenly matched this time around. Good mix. Stumping each other, but then also a couple little softballs. But fun little group, and we'll definitely do this again. It's a good way to get through some more guys, because there's over 700 guys that have suited up for the Rockies.
We'll have to hit up some of the other guys, Patrick, and get some other dudes, because what's funny is that, you know, this little baseball group, these Colorado Rockies group, these guys that you've been involved with, and they all have their little niche and these special players, and it's fun to just nerd out a little bit and remembering some of these guys.
Yeah. Would be fun. We get two guys on here, and then they're competing against each other, and we're just offering the guesses,
Yeah.
offering the questions. But until next time, you can follow us over on Twitter at Every Rocky Ever. Also, go check out the Rocky Mountain Rooftop over on Twitter, ROCKYMTN Rooftop, and check out the Affected by Altitude podcast. New episodes every Monday on your favorite podcasting platforms. Episodes here on YouTube as well. Be sure to like and subscribe. And go check out some of our reaction news where I talked about the Joe Rock trade to the Tampa Bay Rays. And be sure to check out some other things coming up on the podcast network as we get ready for the regular season. Fun interviews, perhaps one involving some personnel from the Spokane Indians could be coming up. A lot of fun stuff around the bend. So, as always, you can follow me at sideline_crowd. Follow Dustin at Mr. T Spanish over on Twitter. And until next time, this has been Every Rocky Ever. I'm Skyler. That's Dustin. Farewell.
Farewell.